We're live. Finally, we made it. It's another one, another week. Jamie let us down this time. I can fully blame Jamie.
No, it didn't. That's
No, he
bullshit.
ordered the wrong. He ordered the wrong Zoom. So when it comes to streaming, he messed it up.
Right.
So I fully blame Jamie this time. But this week we've got Savo in the house. We're going to be talking about this whole debacle around Extractor fans, the regs that we're meant to be following that no one knew about, and how and where you should apply these regs, and if they even are relevant to us. I'm not too clued up on it. It's something that Liberato del Greco from Azuri Electrical did raise with me this week. Apparently, Ethic's done it last week or the week before. So it's just something I wanted to dive into, considering it actually affects me in some
I
way.
could give a shit.
Jamie's sworn straight away. Why don't you
Yeah, how
start off
come
with some...
Liberato on here? Why haven't you got Liberato or Francesca on here? Because they're the experts on this thing. Why have you got me dragged in, for fuck's sake?
Because
Because then we look
you're like the self-proclaimed expert, aren't you, you
we
idiot?
don't want to look stupid, so we get you on. Easy.
Right, are you going to do the read for Charvin? Because we've
Shove it
got no
on me.
graphics. Because again,
We ain't
your
got the
fault.
graphics. Because if anyone knows about remote accessing a PC from somewhere else cheap, let us know. Because we need to run the graphics PC remotely anyway. That's a technical thing which I asking for help on. If you want some test gear, shove it on you or you'll go to if you give them a shout. If you're after anything, like I did with this, and they sold me this, or lent me this, and I didn't buy it. And they have got all the full range test gear, and my microphone picks up every crustle. If you have some test gear, basically, go to them, tell them what you want, they'll tell you what they've got, and they'll sort you out and provide you all the great aftercare. You get the same service we give you, blah, blah, blah. I'm bored of being in this room now because it's so echoey. But yeah, shove it on you, help us support you and help support this echo that you're probably in right now. So if you have to do test gear, give them a bash. Thank you very much.
So I, as always, love Navitas and their fuse boards. They're the fuse boards designed for electricians to install and not have to go back and fanny about with in the future, because the devices have gone wrong and stuff like that. They're good, robust, very easy to install gear. They also come very snazzy packaging. You can dive straight over to their website now. They got Klarna on there and everything, so you can buy their stuff direct from them at a discounted rate. I would have thought if you use our promo code, which I don't know what it is.
Bundy 10.
Huh?
Bundy 10, surely.
Probably
Missing a
Bundy
trick
10,
somewhere.
but try is it ESK 20?
Dave 010, Save 010.
Whatever. Hit up Will. He'll give you a discount code for the podcast. Go over to them and get your fuse boards for super cheap and get them really decent quality. And because Will don't send me nothing. Like I don't think he likes me very much for some reason. He doesn't send me any clobber to wear on the podcast. He don't send me anything for the back. He ain't even sent me a free fuse board. Nothing.
See, funnily this week, I've been sponsored also by a Lithuanian brothel, and that's why I've been sent all this lovely Lithuanian brothel furniture you can see in the background.
So you've been working away, Jamie. How's that diddling?
Well, for a start, in this, I'll show you around where I'm. Look, everything's made out of glass. That's why it's so echoey, but it is fantastic if you want to do blow. I'm assuming this place is set up for a stag.
But why didn't you just pull the curtains and then that would have helped, wouldn't it?
Because they're just tied to the wall. I want to do it from the balcony because the balcony looks out over Weymouth Harbour. But
Decent.
it got dark yesterday, so I can't. So yeah, apologies if there's an echo, but this is not my decor. I don't live like this, yeah. So don't think I look. Don't think this is my house.
Eastern European bougie.
Eastern European fucking knocking shop. This is not my style. It's just what you get for the price we're looking for.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jamie, have you got any news set up for us? Because this is literally the worst thrown together podcast. I forgot to do the news. Jamie reckons he's got some news. Savo's moaning because he doesn't want to be here. I
Why
don't
have I
really
always
know
got
what's
the worst
happened.
ones?
Well, it's not. We don't know yet. You might get it all going. I've got. You're gonna hate me though, because it's like more renewable stuff that I love.
Oh, why is it always renewable? I've done a whole week last week without no renewables.
I know, but I got this one.
Oh,
This
I had a
one,
good one from last week. You carry on, and I'll see if I can find it.
I got this one, and I like. If anyone gets any more to tell me, yeah. So there's a massive solar and battery farm being built. It's called the Cleve Hill Project. It's a 375 megawatt solar and a 150 megawatt battery. If those numbers don't mean anything to you, it's
Nothing.
fucking massive. It's absolutely ginormous. That's a big old solar farm, yeah. And it was sold to the people of the area like it's going to power thousands of homes, which is what they always does. It's going to power thousands and thousands of homes, clean green electricity. So what's basically happened is Tesco and BP have come along and bought the entire output to provide their electricity so they can get their green points. So it's actually going to power no one's home. It's just going to power BP and Tesco. And that a solar farm takes up 300 acres. And I just thought it's just the way it's going into it. Everything's being sold to us and clean and green and powering people's homes, but it's all just a lie. It's a fib.
Well, it's this whole net zero thing, isn't it? This
That
big drive
solar
to net
farm is
zero.
making green diesel. That's what it's making. It's being used to. That solar farm is literally being used to sell people petrol, oil, diesel, and run a bakery that sells croissants. What's green about that? It ain't powering no one's homes.
So, what's your thought on all this renewable stuff? I know you've got solar in your house and you drive a Nissan Leaf.
No, the Leaf's
with
long
that
gone.
haircut.
The Leaf's gone. Don't you say the Leaf blown away or something like that? Is that another correct term?
You know what? Because when you buy a car, obviously if you buy it new, because we were looking to buy it new originally, and it was like 30 grand or something ridiculous. There are all these different incentives that they were throwing in, so you wouldn't quite pay that. But in the end, we got one that was 2 years old, and it cost 10 grand.
Wow, that's a loss.
Okay, fair enough. And we had it for like 5 years, but we needed to go back to something with more distance on it, because we had one daughter at uni in Leeds and one at uni in Falmouth, and it was like, this ain't going to cut the shit.
You've got a daughter at uni. You've got a daughter at uni in Leeds.
Not anymore. She's finished now. But
Got to say, do you want to get her out of there, Sharpie? That place is a shithole.
Oh, I quite like Leeds. I thought it was rather nice. So we another one in Falmouth. It's like, no, that ain't going to fly. So I went on to WeBuyAnyCar.com thinking they're going to offer me like 500 quid for this thing because it's 5 years old now, and we paid 10k for it, and they basically came back saying we'll give you 10k for it, and I was like, you what?
Nice.
They didn't in the end. They gave us 8.5 because there were a few dings and dents and knocks and stuff, but I still snapped their hand off for that.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
surprised. Is that because EVs do drop a lot off the forecourt, don't they? Drastically, but then they
I think
hang
any
around.
new car drops very quickly in price from the forecourt. I wouldn't buy a brand new car.
In chat news as well. What's up with Linda? Linda's in hospital, she says in the chat. So can we develop on that? Is Linda okay?
Oh yes,
Hello,
yes.
Linda.
Get well soon to Linda. We don't quite know what it is. She hurt her back, and then her legs all ballooned up.
Oh, get well soon, Linda.
Elephant man legs.
We'll dedicate this podcast to Linda, not because it's shite, because we are going to, because it's nice.
I do think it's probably red wine retention. It's all the fluid.
Yeah,
just
definitely that.
Legs
definitely that
to blow up. Yeah.
Did you know, right? The Porsche Taycan, when it came out, was like the #1 selling EV for a minute, wasn't it? And then it would lose. I think there was like 100 grand. Within 2 years, they're worth like 40 grand. And then, and that's not even the rock bottom. So they're almost worthless after about 5 years. Like, you literally won't get 30 grand for one after like 3 years.
The weird bit is, one, Porsche drivers don't want to drive an EV. That's not the point of being a Porsche driver. And two, even if it's rock bottom, even if it's 2 grand's worth of motor, you can't buy it if you can afford it, because you can't afford the insurance, can you?
I don't know. I don't know if it's insurance or what. I think it's like the prohibitive cost of maintenance to the batteries and shit like that. Like, if anything goes wrong with that EV drivetrain, which includes the battery, you're finished. Like, it's like more than the car's worth to put right. Anything to do with it, like even the brakes on it will be more than it's worth. But there'll probably be something like 5 grand to do the brakes on a 35 on a 40 grand car. You ain't going to do it, are you? That's more than 10% of the price of the car to fix the brakes. Why are you going to do it?
Whilst we can have a normal conversation on it, a realistic conversation, I think that's what we're known for, is everyone in the EV/renewables world is a bit like this, aren't they? Because they go, oh, these solar panels are great, but what I want to know is what we're going to do with them all when they're knackered. What we're going to do with them in 10 years' time, there could be a lot of lithium batteries need recycling. Where are they going to go? But no one wants to answer your questions when you start asking stuff like that.
Oh, they're going to go to some fucking shit tin pot country in like some fucking shitty little country that's going to go, yeah, we'll have them all. And all they're going to do is rip them apart, take out all the fucking valuables in them, and dump all of the shit underground that will seep into the water table and cause an ecological disaster, and we'll all be moaning about it.
And there'll be more, because that's
50 years' time.
That's where Somali pirates come from, isn't it? Somali pirates don't want to be pirates. It's because all the ships they didn't want to get all the waste out of in the Western world.
Yeah.
They dumped them on Somali Beach and they got them to cut them up while they all died, and then they killed all the fish. So now they become pirates to feed themselves.
Yeah.
But no one wants to talk about, well, where's all that stuff going to go? Like you say, I think there's a town in India, isn't there, full of Primark clothes. They just dump Primark
Mate,
clothes there.
like if you look round, like in some of these countries, like some of these West African countries, right? There's like whole towns just floating in like waste where they're like, well, dump your rubbish here, we'll take it. It is wild what's going on out there.
It's not green
For the sake of net zero in like the Western countries. It's like, yeah, we're net zero. Wow, yeah, we're really good. And then there's these poor third world countries that are just absolutely rammed with all of our shit.
Well,
And it's like, what are we doing here?
like, they're all starving. What's your main import? Plastic bottles.
Wild. It's just wild. I don't even get it. I've got a bit of news. I forgot about this last week.
Hot off the press, then.
Yeah. Why you got to say it though? Right. So, MICC Limited Company requests review of building regulations. They've asked to review document for protected circuits in building regulations 2010 approved document B fire safety, and basically they want to go back to pyro.
You what?
Yeah, and all these sort of funny little places like hospitals where you got like where it's all like super essential stuff and fire safety and all that sort of stuff. Going back to pyro, they want to go back to pyro.
Some people won't know what the hell we're on about in this podcast. Pyro.
So I've never had to do pyro in the field.
I have worked with pyro.
But Jamie,
of course,
of course you have.
But the problem with pyro is it requires genuine high skill. It's like glass blowing for sparkies.
I think you're over egging it, man.
Not a 1.5 mil 2-core, but when you start getting like to 95 mil single cores, it requires a lot of skill to make it off. But I don't think you'd be using that. It'd be far along.
I don't think I could do it. Do you know why?
You're
way
like
too sweaty. Way too. I sweat opening crisps. Like, and I mean, sweat dripping off my forehead. Like in any situation that requires concentration, the amount of sweat that will come off my head is unfathomable. There's no way I'm making off a dry pot. No way.
I'd like to see the return of pyro. I think it's nice, steady work.
Oh, listen, it's proper sparking work 101. But I don't think it will be done in the way it used to be done. I think it'll be a new form of pyro. But basically, what they're saying is there's no substitute for pyro.
In what buildings is that? High rise?
Mate, to be honest with you, I haven't got all the information in front of me. What's this? Wrexham Mineral Cables. No, not that one.
So someone's put in there, Joe Roberts put hated there, Harrods was everywhere. I think because of in classic buildings like that, sometimes there's an insurance requirement because it doesn't catch fire, basically.
With
Dave, have you done any pyro? Dave, you're the guest, Dave. You're the guest, Dave.
I was
He's doing it again.
The comics.
He's on the
I was looking at I'm interested in the story about the rude lady at the wholesalers who was swearing at you, Sam.
Me?
This is new.
Well, I don't know. Your missus has put it on the chat.
Man, what about your story of the rude lady? No, it wasn't at wholesalers. It was at tool station. Fucking dickhead.
That's not a wholesalers. It's a shop.
They sell the best light fittings, right? VTAC LED strip lights. Yeah, they're the best.
I'm not having that. They sell turd.
No, they're the best for lofts and for garages and stuff. They are so bright. I've never been called back to one.
Oh, flurries.
Yeah, like fluorescent, but they're about that thick. They're the same sort of width, but they are just fantastic. I've fitted probably 30 of them now, and I just get them from tool station.
Can someone just identify to me? And I know we've had this before, yeah. You know, tool station and screw fix.
They're different.
What's the shit with that? Why do they have to be together like a Weatherspoons and a long way toilet? Like, I don't get it.
Do you know the story behind it? Do you know the story behind it?
Competition, but how can it continue? How can this continue?
Do you know? I'll tell you why they done that. Geezer, who invented screw fix,
sold it,
and then he started up tool station.
But why don't you start a better one or a cheap one? Because they're both as shit as each other. I hate them.
No, I love Screwfix and Tool Station. where else do you go on a Sunday to get anything?
Oh, in the SK chat this week, someone put in the chat that Screwfix now starting is it a loyalty scheme where if you spend over £1,000 a month, I can't look through the group
You have
chat.
to pay. It's kind of like Amazon Prime by the looks of it. You have to pay like a membership fee, but you get certain perks. So everybody wants a fucking monthly payment from
Yeah,
me now,
everyone
don't
wants
they?
subscription, don't they?
That's a new
A
that's a new
subscription to a
thing.
DIY store. That's a new low.
Don't get me wrong. I will go in Screwfix in
I
the
love
same way.
Screwfix.
I'll go in Screwfix like I'll fucking dumping a lake full of shit if my arms on fire. Like if I need to go in there, but I generally avoid it because it's full of civilians. The staff behind the counter don't know what anything is. They're just like, this is it. This I hate it. I hate what it's done to wholesaling.
So what happened was, right, I was saying these VTAC lights are the best, right? I've never had one go wrong. Well, on this job I put in 2 of them and one of them didn't work. It's definitely my fault though, because
this
so
could be. Don't make this legal.
so allegedly, what happened was, right, at the end, it's got like the driver in it, hasn't it? And then it's like a thin driver, and I was putting it across rafters, across the beams in the shed, and I couldn't get a clip in here, so I took the back of the driver off, and I put a screw through, and I clicked it back on. And inside you could see the electrics in there, and I was like, I'm just gonna roll the dice. I'm sure it'll work. I'm sure it'll be all right. It turns out it weren't. Anyway, so I took it back. I was like, this one don't work. Just installed it, don't work.
It's black and it smells. It's got burn bits in it.
Anyway,
it doesn't work.
So I'm in there, and the one goes, "All right, yeah." She goes, "When did you buy it?" I was like, last Wednesday." "What time?" And I was like, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, you need to know. Well, you need a receipt." I was like, "All right, whatever. Can't you look on the system?" Anyway, she looks on the system, and she just kept, every time I said something, she asked me another question really fast in like a rude little way. And then I bought a mastic gun to like do all the holes and stuff with the CT1. That's another thing that wound me up about CT1. Anyway, so I went and got this thing, put it on, and I was like, "I'll have one of these as well, please," because there's like they got some out the front. She goes, "What's the number of it?" I was like, "I don't know." She goes, "You need number." I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, mate." I was like,
exactly. This is my point. They fucking just.
You're not wrong, right? Anyway,
Argos.
so I said, so eventually she brings out another one of these things. I'm already fuming about what's the number. You should fucking know the number. Anyway, she brings out this other one, and I said, like, I just want to check that it's all correct. It is all correct. If you don't want it, don't have it. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, honestly, what is wrong with you? And this other fucking crow-face old cunt comes over and goes, "What are you shouting at?" I was like, "You could shut the fuck up as well."
I'm
like,
not being.
Who even asked you to open your fucking mouth? And she's like, "Who you shouting at? Who you shouting?" I was like, "Shut up! Shut the fuck up!"
This just sounds like a normal day where you live.
And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, can I have this? And can I have that? And really what I wanted to call her is a crow-face old cunt. Let's go. Anyway, I've dropped 2 C-bombs on this episode. Anyway, I've got the lights, took it back. It's all good. Used my new silicon gun with a thing of CT1, right? I'm all excited to use CT1. It's meant to be the dog's bollocks, isn't it?
Mm.
CT1's meant to be the one, isn't it? Right? Everyone talks about Bundy's on the stand, Kimmy's on the stand, R. Davis is on the stand, Jamie's mum's on the stand, whatever, the whole lot, yeah? I get it, and I'm like, oh, this would be good. And you know, the nozzle on the end pops off, all the goop comes out all over my new thing, and I'm like, how's this a thing? Like all the other cheap shit ones you buy, Fire Protect from CEF or something, right? You buy that, it's good as gold. The newfangled CT1, the all singing, all dancing dogs be, the end popped off, went everywhere, all over a brand new cabin.
Do you reckon?
You know what you can't do with CT1? You can't clean it up.
Oh, you could have used big wipes.
You can't clean that shit because apparently you could even do it underwater.
Do you not think that as you left the Screwfix, the woman just called a cunt, scored the top, so it just fell apart?
I bought that CT1 in CEF.
Yeah, but she's got mates down there, hasn't she?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
bring back Pop. Stop saying the C-bomb. It's just James. I just don't go in there unless I have to. It's just full of crap, full of absolute crap. The David said, "Was it? It was our lap." What a load of
Yeah,
old shite that is.
fucking rubbish. I'm over the moon though because a new Wix has just opened up and it's just moments from me, walking distance, in fact.
I won't use Wix.
What's
No,
wrong?
well, I don't use these sort of stores much as, but I am doing some DIY around the
I'm
home,
lying.
and
I'm lying. For DIY,
it's handy
I
for that.
love going to B&Q. I love it. I love walking around. I love going up the tool aisle, seeing if I need anything. Because you always go up there and see if you need something, don't you?
No.
I
No,
like looking at all the
Do
bullshit
you
in
ever
there.
walk up the electrical aisles in these stores with a bit of a sort of smirk on your face at the
Going,
civilians buying
Has
stuff?
anyone
Like,
ever been
you don't
in
know
the, has
anything. You
anyone
don't know
ever
what you're
been in
buying,
the
you bastard.
has anyone ever been in the electrical aisle and they go, excuse me, can you help me? Like, I don't work here. I must have read that about twice. Like, no, I don't work here. Just look, I must look electrical. That must be my
no,
bag.
you look
They
like a
twin an earth in
B&Q
10-meter
employee.
lengths and stuff.
So, someone who's done 2 weeks as an electrical course.
You know what B&Q do if you need it? They sell MK, don't they? I know it's shit now, allegedly, but if you do need some MK, that's the quickest place to get it is B&Q because they sell the whole lot. Not that I buy anymore because it's absolute junk, but it's useful to know.
But I don't. How did we get on? Thanks
We
for
got
that,
to this
man.
by
Cheers.
you being upset by some woman in Screwfix who you called a cunt 3 times. We hope she's not watching. Or we get a cease and desist from Screwfix. You
No,
never
it's not
know.
Screwfix. It's Tool Station.
Oh, whatever. They're both the fucking same anyway. There's someone put in the chat about it while he's gone. I hate him anyway, just to reiterate.
But I
Tool
really
station's
like.
useless. They never got stock of anything. You go there for like you got a job where
What's
you got to
the
put
what's
6
the
downlights.
catchphrase? What's the
They'll always have
catchphrase?
5 downlights on the shelf.
Yeah,
What's
they
the
do.
the catchphrase of Screwfix and Tool Station? I can get you by tomorrow. I fucking in, are you dozy bastard? If I wanted by tomorrow, I'd go on fucking Amazon, wouldn't I?
I'd go to my wholesaler who ain't
Oh,
never got nothing in.
Can you imagine it? I need an ambulance immediately. I can get you on tomorrow. The fuck was that? I won't be
Hey, we've
here.
got Jimmy Beck in the chat. James Beck.
Gee,
But
it's,
Long time no
don't,
see.
don't. Is VTAC really shit lighting then? Is it really shit?
yeah, you can tell by the name VTAC. It's
Oh,
got
mate.
tack in it.
Let's be honest though. All lighting shit.
All
though,
light,
isn't
I was just about to say that. All lighting is
it?
shit.
All lighting
generally.
shit. You never get. Actually, I bought some lights from Germany for this same project for the outside, and they were really good quality. I was like, for the first time in my life, I picked up some lights and thought, actually, these aren't shit.
I bought a light the other week, a decorative one for outside my house off Amazon. I bought some lights at this shop and they were actually like coach lights, stuff like that. They were reasonably good. But then I bought another one from it was a bit decorative. And the box, you know, the box you screw to the wall, it was the size of a stamp. You couldn't get 2 screws in it. And I was like, again, it's who designs these lights? Who makes them? Then I bought
People
some
don't care. They don't care about the installation process. But
you know,
what I
bulkhead
was,
fittings as well. You know, the bulkhead fittings you get around scaffolding, like the big glass top lamps like that. They just put a bulb in, like you can use them in bars, but nice. I ordered some of them off Amazon. I thought, oh, just get them off Amazon. It's easy. It turned up. It was the size of 20 fags. It was that big. I want to do that fucking thing.
I hate these fixtures where they leave it as the installer's problem.
Mm.
Be it lighting or whatever. I had some arsehole with some smoke alarms recently because the connector protruded from the back of the base. And you think, well, why don't you just make a base that can enclose the connector? I've got to fuck about sorting out the ceiling now.
You've got to hack out the fire-rated ceiling to fit a smoke alarm,
exactly.
which you need now because your fire-rated ceiling's fucked.
I don't know why they don't think of these things. Steve from SDG Electronics says that the electronics in VTAC is really bare bones.
less to go wrong now, isn't it? Less to go wrong.
Steve from SDG Electronics should come and tell us about internals of lights. That would be a good episode.
That would be a good.
good episode.
Sounds like Steve from SDG Electronics knows everything around electronics. He's took some stuff apart. He's like Big Clive, but we could get him on the show. So, Steve,
What about this OVIA lighting? I've been fitting loads of this OVIA lighting because it's all that fucking. It's all in every CEF just there.
People are banging about JCC in here.
Yeah, like JC, I fitted JCC as well, but this OVIA stuff is just there. And
I've pulled out a lot of Duff JCC stuff.
I think you did a video on that, haven't you? Is LED just...
I've actually got some of their stuff in my house. I'm waiting to see if that fails. But yeah, I've seen a lot of the things. I've seen a lot of manufacturer stuff. Avia, whatever you fucking call them. I always seem to pronounce it wrong. I've been fitting their stuff lately. Floodlights. Not had a problem so far.
What about the in like spotlights? That's what I've been fitting. Loads of the spotlights. Well, I say loads. fucking look at me.
Well, like Inceptor Nanos and that sort of stuff. I've put a few in.
Don't say Inceptor Nanos like I know what the fuck you're talking about. The ones they have at CEF that's sitting right there in the blue.
An Avaya product.
There you go.
You know what needs banning? And we said this before. If it does, I know spotlights, garden spots are probably a bit different, yeah? I don't want to fit any light that doesn't take a lamp-like object. So I don't want anything that's got a bit of LED strip glue to it, looks like a flora. I don't want anything with an integrated light. I don't want anything where you change the old down light. It should be banned. Like the banning vapes, disposable vapes.
You're not wrong.
Anything that doesn't take a replacement lamp-style object just needs to be banned. It's just
You're not wrong.
Pure waste.
I agree.
I've just on Friday put a scope of works and pricing together for a local community centre who've got to switch all their florists to LED. And I've based that pricing on converting everything that can be converted rather than outright replacing it. Because there's all sorts of advantages. Like you say, it becomes an easy replacement job, an easy maintenance job if that lamp goes, but also you're not throwing away the whole fitting. You're not replacing it with something that's got a smaller footprint that requires a load of redecoration around it, that sort of stuff. But I don't know if I'm going to get it.
The problem I found with that is, you know, if you got some good quality fittings, great, we'll convert them, yeah. The problem is when the lamps were invented, the light companies got together and said, let's make a lamp and this is the spec. Whereas with LED tubes, I've had LED tubes that have got the lives at one end, the neutrals at the other. Then I've got other LED tubes that have got live and neutral at one end and nothing at the other. So there's no standard. So you can have a situation where they change the lamp and it's wrong and it doesn't work or it blows up.
I've not seen any of that have them on opposite ends. All the lamps I've bought have always had it on one end with a fusible link at the other end. And if you wire out the fitting so that the tombstones are in series, then it doesn't matter which way around that lamp goes.
Why are you fucking about? Like changing
Were we
out?
supposed to talk about fans?
No. Hold on a minute. Why are you fucking about like repurposing old fucking fluorescent lights?
Architectural fittings might be architectural. There might be loads of really nice fittings.
Fluorescent lights, architectural. Are you dumb?
The fittings they've got are not ugly. They're not unsightly in any kind of way. They're perfectly serviceable for the task that they're
Pull their
used
pants down for that, bruv.
No, well, what will happen is someone else will come along and probably with a better quote or whatever, or they'll change out the whole thing, stick up some fucking JCC thing or something, and then when one goes, it's a whole electrician's got to come in, get up the ladder, pull the whole fucking thing down and replace it.
In my office, in the office that I'm normally in, it's got in each office he's got 4 LED panels, and obviously I thought, oh, that's fair enough. They've gone round and when they've done the offices out, they put new dildo trunking up, new sockets, and they put new lights up. But I wanted to move some because there was creating glare on my whiteboard, so I went up and I lifted it. I was like, why can't I get this fucking light up? And I'm shoving it. And I lifted the tile up. There's a massive gap, like 8-inch gap. I'm shoving this fucking light, thinking, right, I'll take the team tiles around it. Guess what was up there?
Go on.
The old light, the fucking Cat 5 louver, 4 flowy tubes. So the 4 flowy tubes in the 6x600 light with the louver, they just shift it up, shoved it out of the way, put my new light in and chucked it back on top because they didn't want to dispose of it and get rid of it. So that's very green, isn't it? There was 0 waste for that job because they just left them all in the building.
See, Aaron says the integrated ones have better matched heatsink, and I've heard this. I'm not sure that I believe that because
Jamie,
so many integrated lights that have
I do remember when LED first came out, some lighting company came to the ECA meeting that was at, and they went, oh, the most important thing with LED light is to get the heat away from the LED. And I've remembered that since, and that seems to be the thing. But a lot of these integrated ones don't get the heat away because there's a lot of heat in LEDs, isn't there, at the point of contact. So that's why they fail, because they get too hot. That's the number one reason for LEDs failing, because the drivers or the LED gets too hot, which people don't think. They think they're cold. But
that's actually really interesting. I didn't know that.
Right.
What's that?
James Beck is saying he hates fluorescence and they should be banned. No, I think fluorescence is very good technology myself. I don't think it. I think it's being retired too early.
I do. T5, which are the thinnest tubes, they're a good light output for what you put in. They're sometimes better than LED with all the drive stuff incorporated. But again, the LEDs are classed as green. A tube is metal and glass. both totally recyclable. Absolutely totally recyclable.
Yeah, but it's the
100%.
gear inside that's not green, isn't it? The
Yeah,
sodium.
but it's,
or whatever
again,
it
the
is.
gear, the new gear, the wire round, the transformers, the wire round ones, they're all recyclable. With an LED, you get loads of e-waste.
No, what I'm
PCB,
saying
that.
is the like the
You're
fluorescent.
talking about the mercury, aren't you? You're talking about the chemicals
I
content.
don't
Which you
know
can
what's inside it, bruv.
you can
Honestly,
recover
I
that. You
don't
can
know.
recover it all. I think. They're totally recyclable. Whereas an LED, you're going to get PCB
So why do you have to
fiberglass
have like a
waste
special coffin that you put them in then?
to get rid of the mercury. I think that is. I think that's for mercury, but you can get all of it back out. I think I'm sure fluorescence is totally recyclable. That's what I heard, but I might have just made that up.
It sounds like whatever Jamie don't know, he makes up. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt.
You know, I don't know. I had to get called a cunt in tool station.
I didn't actually call her that, but I
You
wanted
did
to.
though, didn't you? So she watches this podcast. You go back in there and she'll be like, "Oh, you fat prick!" And she'll be fucking lunging. She'll be like, "Take your coat and shove it in your fucking arsehole."
But the thing is, I'm always in there, so now I've got to go back in there.
Hey,
and
you're not
Pro
anymore,
Face is
are
gonna
you?
be
You're
in
gonna have to
there.
go to the one in fucking Folkestone in a minute because you'll be banned. I wonder if you get banned from tool station.
I better come close. I better come close.
I would piss myself if you got banned from a branch tool station.
I will report back on this situation.
The annoying bit is if they banned you from every branch of tool station, we wouldn't be able to acknowledge it because that would effectively give them free advertising because people would go there because they'd banned you. So we'd have to be very careful how we dealt with that as a show, not do a full Unilight on it.
Oh, listen. Callum Rowley says, if I've learned anything from Big Clive, that most LEDs in fittings are overdriven
Yes.
to seem brighter using less power, but ultimately fail sooner.
If you're a Sparky and you're not watching the Big Clive videos where he takes either lights or USB charge part, you are missing out on some great technical information because it's fantastic.
He won't do any podcast, you know.
I know, but he is to be fair with Big Clive, he is a proper Sparky and he also hates the NIC.
So why ain't he on this show?
I don't know. We're right up
shit.
the street, but his quality is. If you're anyone doing anything with lighting, like I say, they're always. He takes lights apart and puts the resistors up to make them last longer. He's quite clever at lighting. He's a very clever lighting man. I want him on the show desperately.
I would love him on. I'd love him on. I'd like him on, and I'd like Electro Boom on. Then just
Oh no, I don't like Electro Boom.
why?
He's a twat.
Why?
Because he's encouraging people to electrocute themselves, basically.
But he's not. Like, no one would do that. No one would do what he's doing.
It's the definition. Don't try this at home, and he's actually encouraging people to do it at home. I don't like the guy. I think he's a twat. He was
you
good at the
actually
start.
think that he's out there telling you to do this at home? No, he's doing it.
He's setting the wrong example, like you with that live breaker changer video you did that time, where I called you a twat in the comments.
What called
I
hashtag
think
not
people
dead?
who watch, I think people who watch Electro Boom sort of know that it's
a shtick,
supposed
innit?
to be
It's
edgy
like-
like that,
What's
and
the
that
guy who was on? He was a very early YouTube Spark. I think he's an electrical engineer. And he used to just get like these massive, silly transformers and lights in his house.
photo induction.
Photo induction.
Atomic
That guy's fucking nuts. Like, I remember being at Industrial Spark watching him going, "This guy's pushing the limits of what you can do in your house." He's
Just
just
like to kill washing
Transformers thing.
machines with breeze blocks as well.
That's the
doesn't he?
one, yeah. That's his video, and he never gets credit for it. He's brilliant. But if anyone doesn't see him, go and watch his early videos. He's got some like mad transforms, hasn't he? Where he can make 10,000.
Oh mate, I watched this one the other day. I think it's called Spyro something. Anyway, he made a 20,000 watt a 20,000 watt microwave using an industrial transformer. And like that is pushing the limits of what you're gonna how he ain't cooked his testicles, I don't know.
On the absolute do not do this at home. Have you seen the people who like to make, when lightning strikes, you get the pattern? They like to make it in wood.
Oh yeah.
Using
A few people
micro
have died doing
transformer.
that.
About 6 people have died because it's like you wind the transformer on like a 10,000-to-1 ratio to make a pretty pattern in wood, and the only pretty pattern in wood you get is your fucking coffin, you dozy bastard. Because it'll kill you.
Do you know what I've been? There's the plasma. I can't remember. He's a plasma channel or something like that, and he's making this plasma engine thing. And honestly, his channel is so interesting. It's unbelievable. But we sort of getting off the point here. Fucking, we're in half an hour into the podcast. Savo's dying to talk about these Extractor fan scenario.
No, I'm not at all. I don't know why you got me on. I don't know fuck all about it.
No, listen. You've done
We're gonna get Libby and Francesca on.
Listen, Libby and
They're too
Francesca
busy
are
for us
not
now.
available tonight.
They're too busy for us now. We've got them on the pedestal, set them off, and now they just cast us off like a dirty spanner.
Yeah, Spyro Pyro. Yeah, that's it. Something like that. He's weird, but he's good. Um, Savo, let's get down to brass tacks. I had a conversation with Libby this week. I phoned him up and we're chatting and stuff, and he goes, "You heard about Extractor fans? You need to have you need to be a part of an Extractor fan CPS. You need to be able to get blah blah blah." And he panicked me over it. Um, is this the case?
Uh, kind of. What happened was Efix put out a video where they had Environment as the guest,
The
which I
guest,
hadn't seen.
they paid to come
Um,
on.
yeah, it was a very good video. It was, I thought it was a very well presented video, and Environment were talking about things that most Sparkies perhaps don't have on their radar too much, me
Yes,
included. And I
absolutely.
didn't. I missed that original presentation, which was a shame because it was very interesting to go back and watch and to look at the chat comments as well. But then the following week, Joe put out a news video where he mentioned about this, about there being additional CPS requirements for installing or maintaining fans, additional costs, additional assessments, and all this kind of shit. And like many others, I sort of threw my toys out the pram a little bit on that because I hadn't got the context. I was like, what? Is this something new? What the fuck? What's going on now? We've got to do what for fans? What? So I went back and watched the environment video that they'd done, and it's very good. And to be honest, they're completely right, and it's nothing new either. It's just a bit surprising. What they're saying is um, fans and ventilation comes under Part F of the building regulations. We know there are different parts, and
Mm.
we're all very familiar, of course, with Part P. We don't tend often to think about the other parts of the building regulations in our trade. Well, I don't anyway. I'm sure I'm not the only
No,
one who doesn't
No,
think too much about it.
no,
Maybe things like Part B I might have looked at before regarding things like smoke
no.
alarms, maybe things to do with emergency lighting, that sort of stuff, but not generally much else
I pay no
terribly.
attention to shit like that.
No, but when you read Part F, it's actually quite interesting. Who knew that ventilation was such a complicated subject? And it rightly is, really. You know, there's quite a lot to it. There's a lot to how it works, how it needs to be done right, and things that you don't necessarily take into consideration that the environment chaps were coming out with, such as things that I haven't thought about too much in the past, such as bends in duct. And the bends, your flexi duct should only be at a point where it's got a bend, otherwise it should be rigid, should be in a straight line. The stuff going through a wall should be rigid. You've got to think about where your exterior vent. I knew some of this stuff. Where your exterior vent is located, and is it near a window where it's going to blow back in, and that sort of
is
thing.
this not
And
the same as
what
like I
what
got
kind of
told
backdraft protection have you
I
got,
am
and all
listening.
sorts of stuff.
I got told by I don't know why my microphone's got so loud. I got told by a heating and ventilation guy going, flexible duct is generally you can't use it, you need solid ducts. He says, get a hose pipe, plug it in your garden, you can water your plants. Put three hose pipes together, it won't come out because there's friction. And obviously spiral duct is just friction. So I think after about 4 meters of spiral duct, the fan don't work, does it? It's pushing on nothing.
Well,
There's
I think
nothing to
Part F
move.
states that it shouldn't exceed 1.5 meters, but it should only be
In
used at
total,
bends. So, you know, there are some installations, not necessarily that I've put in myself, although I have used this stuff before, of course, like I'm sure many others. There are some installations you can come across where there's meters and meters of this stuff going off,
just go
and you
through
can't,
this
often with a
loft.
little fart box tool station fan at one end of it, which is like, no, that ain't gonna wheeze anything through anywhere, mate.
Do you know what? I done a
But
fan the other day, right? And
what of this show?
so she wanted this toilet connected into the outlet up that end, and I did, and I was doing it. I was thinking, this seems a lot more complex than I'm fucking giving it credit for. Like, should I even be fucking about with this fan? Really? Like, it was about 3.5, 4 meters worth of ducting, and I was just like, I shouldn't really be doing this. And I sort of connected it into the other bit using a T piece and that. And I was like, this
You're
don't.
blowing shit from one bog into the other. You're doing, aren't you?
But no, but it had a return on it and shit. But I don't know. It just
I,
I didn't seem like I knew what I was doing, and I was like,
I think most fans are shite, aren't they? I've got a fan in my bathroom. I've got a vaulted ceiling in there because I'm a big player. And there's like 1 meter of duct, and it just doesn't move the shower smoke, the steam. They're just crap.
So let's break it down to brass tacks quickly, Savo. If you change an extractor fan in someone's bathroom, do you need to fucking notify building control?
Well, this is what all the blow up is about, isn't it? Is do you or don't you need to really know lots about this and pay for additional accreditation and courses? If you're going to be doing a lot of this sort of stuff, then you probably would find it more valuable to attend the courses and perhaps to get the accreditation. For most of us doing what we're doing, when it comes to existing installations, Part F basically states that you can do a like for like change. So maintenance is okay, and that isn't notifiable, at least not from what I can see under your scheme provider, with the exception of perhaps being notifiable under Part P because it's in a special location, of course. But there's no separate notification, no separate scheme membership required if you're just doing maintenance. What it does say is you shouldn't make it any less worse than it was before. It should be at least to the same requirements as it was before.
If you're like most, you get like 30 different brands of the same fan, don't you? Like it's like literally a lot of places just have this same bog standard fan in, don't they? And the resistor in it goes like
Oh yeah.
all the time.
I don't buy cheap fans, but I was quite surprised because they showed some different fans on the eFix video, and obviously the environment one was doing very well. But the one that was doing one of the ones that was doing quite poorly was one of the ones that I put in quite a lot, and that's an Expeller, because you kind of think
Expeller, yeah.
what they're doing. But again, it was quite interesting because Expeller ones I buy, they tend to have a cover on the front. And the environment guy was saying, well, straight away you've got a 90-degree bend of your airflow going in, so it's kind of screwed from the beginning. And I know that the Expel Air ones have a low speed and a high speed. I don't know if they have the low speed selected for this particular demonstration. I don't know if it was on high speed or not, but it wasn't doing very much. And I was looking at it thinking, oh shit, that's my go-to normally.
Because a lot of people like them flat plates on them. Like I've got this couple that I do. Like they're doing their house up bit by bit. They got chrome everywhere, right? It's like Jamie's living room there, and
my brothel.
And I've got to do a toilet. I've got to do a fan for them next week, and they want a chrome fan cover without the vents on it.
What, a blank plate?
Well, yeah, but it's like a blank plate that sits out about that much, isn't it? And then it just pulls it in all round it.
Oh, got you, yeah.
But again, that's really reducing the effectiveness of the fan because you're sticking a 90-degree angle.
But do you think they think of that though?
Why do people
like turn up the RPM?
Why do people want to make an architectural feature out of every piece of shit you fit to a wall? Like, don't you want to blend in?
Look, check this out, Jamie. Savo was fitting them fucking toilet, them toothbrush holders yesterday.
No,
on Friday he was fitting toothbrush holders.
To get
I got one in my bathroom. They're great
for putting your dildo on.
Dual purpose.
Everyone loves. I was on about someone the other day saying, "Oh, someone's got stats, room stats." Going, "I want a silver one." They don't make a silver one because it reflects the heat. It won't work properly. Yeah, but
they do.
I want a silver one.
I've got a silver one. It's a Hive, silver.
Yeah, but generally normal room stats, the bimetallic ones aren't in silver because it'd affect the reading. But why does everyone have to make? Don't you just want your things to blend into your wall so you can't see it? Why do you want a socket that's got?
Yeah, but everyone wants a screen on their wall, don't they? Like the Hive is quite bougie. When you look at it, it's nice, isn't it? It's like you get a Hive and you're like, oh, look at that, it's got a little digital display like a wanker. You don't need that anymore. I get what you're saying, but you still I still like to look at my Hive and think, yeah, that's decent.
I remember I'm not eventually. I always said it then. I did a house for a lady who was married to a sportsman. And she's like, I want the silver ones. And we got all the demo ones on. She picked the socket she wanted. She's like, come into this room that was like this, like all paint walls. She went, that socket's not silver. I was like, yeah, because it's behind a telly. As in a wall-mounted TV. She's like, it's not silver. I was like, you'll never see it. She's like, it's not silver. I'm like, so you want me to put silver architectural sockets behind your wall-mounted TVs in every room? She went, yes. So £400 worth of sockets later, I don't know where she got with it, but she was very insistent there to be there. But I was like, why? Why do you want to stand out?
There's people in the comments saying about this was all down to like damp and mold and stuff. That's a different part of the building regulations. That's part C.
So, but do you have yes or no?
Jesus.
Who's in there?
Do you have to fucking notify when you change a fan?
You know what? I'm still not entirely sure because again, if you read the building reg, read Part F. If you're just going by Part F, if it's an existing property, it kind of says if there's no ventilation system, then you're not required to install one of those. We kind of recommend it. If you're changing out something that's there on existing wiring, then you can do so. You don't have to notify. Again, some of these things might be notifiable under Part P because of special locations, but that's not notifiable under a different part of a CPS scheme membership. It's more
just to
for
interrupt you
things
urgently,
like,
mate. Alan in the chat says, if there are any single women in the chat, make yourself known, don't be shy. I just thought we'd get that point across.
So whatever.
You know, we're on that eFix video is it Envirovent?
yeah.
You know, if you're fitting a lot of fans, they're clearly on their advertising, right? I get it, right? They do a course, don't they? And I would imagine if you're fitting a lot of fans, I would imagine they said there's the cheapest, blah, 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 which is fine. I would imagine their course is great because it's all technical aspects,
Yeah,
measurements, friction, all that. I bet it's worth doing. I'm not,
Yeah.
I haven't been on it, but I bet it is worth doing if you're doing a lot of
Oh
fans.
yeah, I imagine so.
So
And
that's
if I were,
great. But
if I were at the
however,
beginning of my career doing this, I'd probably sit that. Now that I'm an old fart and I'm trying to kill myself with alcohol, then it's probably not worth it.
so yeah, there's no
But,
problem with that. And what they flag, but the bit I did not like is because it comes with the building regulations now. Oh, how have they decided to enforce it? Oh, another self-certification scheme where you've got to pay the NIC £600 a year and have another inspection.
That was always the case, though. But
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying that can we not do a course and be qualified to fit things properly? Why do we have to get inspected by someone to do it? Like, surely doing training and CPD that the NIC love you doing and getting logs of. But then they go, oh, you know what? Because of the build regulation, we can bum you for £600 for a course for that. There's no need to make it a self-certification thing like that. It should just be, have you done it right? To the design? Yes, I have. Bosh. It's just
I think with self-certification, if
ass.
you're doing a lot of like HVAC or PIV, it makes more sense. If you're just a spark who happens to come across fans every now and again, then it perhaps doesn't make so much sense.
Is that course more aimed at like people doing full mechanical heat recovery ventilation
I don't know.
systems?
I get the impression that these small 2-day sort of 200 to 400 quid courses are probably for our sort of.
No, sorry, not the course.
game.
You know, the NIC sign off
Oh.
your thingy. That's just for bathroom fans. That's not aimed at mechanical ventilation or anything like that.
No, doubt
I
it.
don't know, mate. I don't know.
It's interesting, but I don't think we need to start. I don't know why I start paying £6 to sign off unless you're doing thousands of them. But who's doing
The thing
thousands
is,
of
though,
fans?
If you're doing if you're working for got a contract with a council or a housing association, you're probably better off to have that because you'll be doing.
I know someone's
all
got it.
of
He's
it.
upstairs now. But just to reiterate, yes, someone said in the chat, yeah. Just to reiterate, if anyone got that, that is a separate NIC, EIC inspection and fee. Not your electrical one. It's a totally separate one that you have to pay for. And all that. But
I suppose if you're doing or signing off work as to any other part of the building regs outside of Part P, then yeah, it's going to be something else that you've got to be assessed as being compliant on.
and obviously that's normal. If it's a new build and building control are inspecting the entire premises anyway, you don't need that. Just like you don't need Part P because it will all get signed off by building control.
I think that the thing is, though, you're asking about whether do we need to actually get this stuff properly signed off. You can read the likes of Part F, Part C, whatever, and see what they say. But traditionally, building control have never asked me for shit regarding any bathrooms, wet rooms, kitchens, or whatever I've put in that have involved extraction. And I've always done, well, the thing is, I've always done what I thought was right at the time, but until you read sort of Part F and go, you know what, maybe this is a more complicated business than I gave it credit for.
Just to add as well, all the building regulations are available online in their entirety as PDFs for free. You can just download the whole lot and read them at your leisure. Unlike our regulations.
Well, we're getting mixed messages as well because we've had, who was it? Someone popped up on it was Aaron popped up on the ESK chat to say that he'd reached out to NAPIT and building control. And building control's response was vague. They indicated that the regulations are primarily focused on larger developments. They mentioned they have occasionally allowed exemptions for specific measurements.
I don't know. You know, I have in my
They,
bathroom.
they were unable to provide a clear process for notifying them of compliance, stating that it would fall under Part P. So it sounds like building control themselves don't really know what the fuck's going on, which is no surprise
Yeah, it's
whatsoever.
no surprise, is it? Like, all this sort of
No, it's
stuff.
not.
It's all the storm in a teacup.
You know,
You're never
I've got
going
in
to
my
get.
bathroom.
You're never going to get.
Potentially,
If
yeah.
all you're doing is changing an odd fan here and there, you're never going to get dragged over the coals over it. This isn't any legal advice or anything like that. So don't take my word for it. But it seems like it's just a storm in a teacup to me.
No, I think
Just get a
Ashley in the
window.
ESK chat actually summed it up perfectly by saying, I think it's a non-issue. Builders and Octopussy are out there throwing in BG shit shows. This is a
Allegedly.
4-inch bathroom fan that's installed to be a 7671 is so low on anyone's radar, you'll be fine.
If anyone goes to prison for installing a bathroom fan, we'll send you a file and your cake.
I do think though the thing is though that what this does highlight is that it is a risk. There is a risk that building control on a job where you've put in, especially if it's a new build, and we're not talking about a whole new build house. We could be talking about an extension that's got a wet room, a kitchen, a utility, or a bathroom, or an ensuite. Anything that is a wholly new structure, even if it's being attached onto an existing structure. If you've put in some kind of ventilation equipment, building control could come along and say, we want to see the specific certification for that, and you're not going to be able to do it under your normal
Is this going to
Part
be
B.
like who was the con man slash gangster who got done for tax evasion because that's all they could pin on him?
Oh, Al Capone.
Al Capone. So is this going to be like, you know, when you're growing weed in an old warehouse, but you've ducted the fans out into the drains? Is this how they're going to get you, future? Well, you did have 18 tons of hashish in there, but unfortunately, you didn't have signed off for your building control for your fans, so we're gonna prosecute
But
you
the
under
thing is,
that.
though, is it an electrician's problem?
I don't
I
think
don't get
so.
involved.
Here's the
Because
thing.
and someone mentioned this in the comments on the Ethics video, Dave NZ00. Why are Sparks becoming responsible for the failings of these specifiers, architects, designers, engineers, draftsmen, builders, plumbers, building supply, crapware products, and importers? And I think, yeah, it's true. Just because it's got wires on it, why is it necessarily our problem? Unless we're there specifying it wholly, and I'm talking about the whole sort of ventilation system as well, and the way it's ducted, the way it's vented, the kind of flap vent or whatever you put on outside, the kind of fan you use, what the controls are for it. It's not necessarily always us who comes up with that.
What
Often
do
I'll
your
go to a
T's and
site
C's say
where
about fans,
the
Dave?
builder's put in where he wants it to be extracted. So it's not really my decision on whether that extraction is
What do your T's and C's
something
say
I need
about
to sign off or
fans?
not.
What do
Sorry.
your T's and C's say about fans then? What have you put in yours?
I think for any of us, because it's a risk that building control could, in theory, come along and land this on us, and we could suddenly find ourselves in a position where the homeowner is saying, "I need this new building work signed off," and we're the ones having the finger pointed at us because we supplied a fan on a new part of a build that can't be. We don't have the means to sign off because we don't have the calibrated equipment, the training, or the accreditation to do so. Then I think for myself, I've put a new terms and conditions on my website, dses.uk. Go to the personal blog section and you'll find that. And
Plugs.
what that basically says is, if you need me to do this kind of work where you want me to change or install extraction on say a kitchen or bathroom, whatever, a new installation going in, and whether you give me that kitchen extractor, things like kitchen extractors, I never get to choose them. They're always part of the kitchen fit out. It's what Ren have decided is going in or whatever. If you give me a
Allegedly.
fucking kitchen extractor or some kind of bathroom system, or you want me to select something myself, I'll do all that, and obviously it all gets signed off. If it comes under Part P, it'll get notified. You get your Part P certificate, you get your electrical certificate, and all that sort of stuff. But if some asshole from building control comes sniffing around afterwards, going, "Well, I'd like to see the results from an anonymity, please," and whatever, then basically the homeowner can go and get that at their own expense. And if that company comes in, which may be a proper HVAC company, someone who is accredited for this kind of work, if they come in and take their readings, and if they decide that it's not compliant or not suitable, if it's me who's put it in, me who selected it, I'll work with the homeowner on putting it right. However, if it's anybody else has been involved, like the builder has decided how the duct is going to run, or the homeowner's given me a kitchen extractor that they think looks pretty and they want to install, fuck all to do with me. So they'll have to get it sorted for themselves.
I was doing new builds before I started like going out on my own, and they had a different type of tubing um, that was smooth inside. It wasn't corrugated, and it was insulated as well. It had like insulation around it, and I think you have to install that as standard now as well. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
just install.
that is what is required. If you look at Part F, like I say, it says you can't be using FlexiDuct except
No,
for at bends, and even then it can't exceed 1.5 meters, and it has to be pull taut. All things that a lot of people just don't necessarily realize. And someone said in the comments, this is all about just installing it correctly. Yeah, it is just about installing it correctly, but it's wise to read the likes of Part F and familiarize yourself with it, because there's always going to be, if you're getting involved with other aspects of the building regulations, there are always going to be little gotchas. It's all very welcome. I'm going, fuck it, I know what I'm doing. This is a piece of piss. I'll just stick in this fan and a bit of FlexiDuct and a flat vent on the outside.
it just goes to it just goes to show it's just another nonsense that we've got to deal with. It's just another thing that we've got to learn and
My
got to
T's and
fork out
C's
for.
say all I do is provide the supply, and my T's and C's, I always say this, to say we are not responsible for any holes in masonry or anything else over 25 mm diameter. Because the builder will go to you, you're going to call that out. No, mate, I'm a fuck. I'm not drilling on your wall. You do it. Like, I just don't get involved because it just makes life easier. Why is it my, like I said, should it be my problem?
But here's the thing, like when you're doing domestic and stuff, you've got to get involved. And then it's like, what are you getting involved in? Fucking, are you out of your depth? Like putting in an extractor fan isn't fucking rocket science, but now all of a sudden it is.
Also, it's not hard. If you are a domestic spark, if you are a domestic spark or even a sparky, because building regulations apply to all things, should you have read the building regulations at least once? I'd argue it's not that
The
difficult.
trouble is, I probably read these regulations 10 years ago when I first started, and you don't keep on top of it. You don't think about it too often necessarily.
What, you're not doing
And
your
although it
CPD,
sounds like it
Dave?
ought to be easy, there are things that you've got to take into account, take into consideration. And with things like ventilation, that you have to think about things like, is there a combustion appliance in the same room as well, that sort of thing. It starts with itself comes under Part J, and then it's like, no, fucking hell, this is a rabbit hole.
So basically, what we're saying to people is tell your customer to open the fucking window, you lazy bastard.
But there's all sorts of stuff about rooms that don't have windows, or
Oh,
they're connected to rooms that don't. The thing is, as well, I've had a lot of NAPIT and NIC assessments in my time, and this has never come up. And I've taken my assessors to builds where a new bathroom's gone in, or a new kitchen's gone in, or whatever. And not once have they ever asked me any questions about uh, airflow rates or the means of extraction, the type of ductwork, or that not once have they asked to see it or anything. And I asked my assessor, I had my assessment a couple of weeks ago, I asked my assessor specifically about this because it was coming up. And I have to say, he didn't seem to really answer.
They don't
Like, he
know.
didn't
They don't know what
too
they
much.
don't know. This is the thing with these assessors. They'll double down on stupid shit that you don't really need to know, but they're going to try and catch you out with.
Yeah.
But on the stuff they do need to know, they're like, yeah, but what about this? And you're like, fucking, I'm asking you a question here. Can you help? No, I'm going to try and catch you out on this bullshit thing. And my answer to all of that bullshit is, look, here's the regs book. If I need to know it, I'll look it up. Don't fucking keep questioning me on it.
John from
I have to say,
chat, a very good check. He just put he does the tissue test. If the tissue sticks, then it's working. But that does not apply to your arse, apparently, he said. That's the other way round.
But do you
I have
not?
to say, I had my assessment recently, and I just felt like it wasn't so much an annual assessment as an annual
Anal assessment.
indignity. I'm starting to, like you say, they just seem to be trying to find everything and anything, no matter how petty, to catch you out on. And I just came out of it just exhausted, feeling
Didn't you
like
just say, listen, here's a book.
I'd
I
had to
open a
back
book.
up every fucking decision, and we'd argued some points. And I think with NIC sometimes, or NAPIT or whomever, they're a bunch of fucking pen pushers. Yeah, they might have been out in the field in the past, the assessors, but a lot of the time they come out and they sort of treat it like everything should be by the book, and the real world ain't by the fucking book, and you have to do the best you can.
Mm.
And usually I'm like, am I walking away from this being a safer installation than I started? And if I can tick that box, then I'm happy. And I appreciate that there's a regulation right at the start of the book that says, everything needs to be fucking tip top before you can make modifications or whatever. But in the real world, it's very difficult to always comply with that. And sometimes I take the assessors out to site where they're like, well, maybe this should have been done first. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Tell them to fucking
What
rip up
about
their
this one?
carpets
I
or
know it's a
whatever.
lower. This is an Octo watch got something this week. What about that? Sorry,
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
that's an outdoor IP64 BG fuse board inside a meter cabinet. Which you think, well, you're not meant to be in there, but anyway. And then if you look at it, this got sent to me. It's got, what's wrong with that, Dave?
I can't see him, mate. It's that fucking focus.
So it's got no SPD and no RCD, but it's got an octopus sticker on it for an EV charger.
Oh shit!
So like, who's
Oh, they just got
inspected?
they just got a
What?
breaker in there.
It's
Yeah,
just a breaker. So what NIC
they've got.
inspector? We know they're NIC.
Oh, that's just a main switch and a breaker.
Yeah, what NIC inspectors inspected that? And that's on the internet for everyone to see. Why can't I report that to NIC? But the course was asking,
You see,
oh,
this is
what
another
about
thing.
your
I brought
fans?
this up with my inspector as well. I was saying, what about all this shit without? Because he's had me before on things like pulling supply views. I'm like, mate, if I need to fucking safely isolate, I'm not paying 236 quid for fucking National Grid to come out and pull the fuse or put an isolator in. And I forgot where I was going with that now. Oh yeah, I said, what about all these fucking outdoor fuse boards and the likes of Octopus being able to pull fuses? He's like, yes, but we're an IC. We expect to work to better standards. And I was thinking,
They're in
Octopus
it. They're in.
are NIC, aren't
That's
they?
the organisation Octopus are in. But you can't challenge them if you use
This
the
is
force.
what fucks me off is that for someone people like us who are trying to do it diligently, and yeah, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have to make compromises every now and again on installations that aren't necessarily perfectly by the book, but even so, you've got to try and do your best for your customer while you're there, because otherwise you're just going to fuck off to somebody else.
I do. I too also. I'm like you. I try and do I don't want to go into someone's house and do a shit job, walk away and take their money. It doesn't sit right with me. I'm not doing that. And I think that's got to be the core principle of your approach to all electrical stuff. And if it's not, then you're probably in the wrong game.
Yeah,
It's just not fair. That's the problem, isn't it?
it's not. It's
We
not because
see
you see
people
all these
getting away
shit
with
installs,
stuff.
and
There's
you see
no
shit installs on new
consistency.
builds as well. Of
The what?
course,
Sorry.
new builds are gash.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I've got pictures on my phone of NIC, ERC contractors doing new builds who are using lamppost landing kits in meter boxes, like a Jubilee clip around a piece of metal pipe. And you go online to the NIC or on Twitter and stuff. What about this by one of your contractors? Nothing. Nothing at all. You go back there in 2 years' time and go, this is as installed. That's wrong. They're going to go, signed off. They don't give a shit. But
no.
when they do an inspection, so there's no consistency. We know there's no consistency between inspectors because some people say they're good, some people say they're bad. That's just an opinion. What I'm saying is when you actually point out glaring things that are clearly gash shortcuts, they just go quiet on you. Won't acknowledge you.
Paul Cook says over 12 years of NICIC, and they seem to make it harder every assessment. I never look forward to it. You know what? I did used to quite like the assessments because I would often
technical
learn something
challenge.
from it. Yeah. But these days, I feel like they're just out to catch me out. And I don't think it's anything to do with me being a gobshite on things like this. The assessor takes great pride in telling me that he knows nothing about it, which is fine. So, I don't think it's anything
What, he's not
different or
watching?
personal.
What an asshole.
I don't think there's anything different or personal based on that. I think that, but I just come away from it feeling bruised, like I've taken a fucking kicking here for work that I think is pretty good actually. And he was having to go at me for all sorts of stuff. Like I'd extended circuits using Wagos, and he was saying, but are they maintenance free? And I'm like, well, they're fucking Wagos, aren't they? And they're in an IP box that's on a garage wall that's accessible if I just take out these 4 screws. So they don't have to be maintenance free.
I'm just going to be fair. I'm just
Wow.
going to add, right, and in the spirit of finish, some people, though, say they've got great assessors. And I do think this is a librarian situation where, unfortunately, then I see employ these people and nape it. And some of them will be the kind of librarian that will help you find a book. And some people will be the kind of librarian that will just tell you to go, shut up. You know what I mean? So
Do you know that
think that's
Wagos
across the board.
Wagos are only classed as maintenance free if they're in a Wago connector block box with a cable tie around it. That's when it's considered.
What?
That's when it's considered maintenance free.
Yeah, I realise that, and I sort of I was saying that and started saying, well, the enclosure's not maintenance free, so, and the assessor's not a bad guy, and he knows his stuff, and I've had him for years. He's retiring next year.
Hey,
I might not have him again. But I just, like I say, I just came out of it feeling like, I'd taken a bit of a fucking hiding. And I was thinking, why do I bother? Because going back to this fan business and all this, the building control might come along and demand to see certification under Part F or C of the building regulations. Are they asking that of kitchen fitters and bathroom fitters? Because these
No.
assholes tend not to even do work compliantly under Part
Well-
P, and nobody seems to fucking care or notice, and there's
Oh.
no kind of comeback on them. So again, you just kind of think, if I wasn't in the NIC, I could just carry on and probably
bother.
nobody would notice. I did about 20, 25 notifiable jobs in the last year. Most of them were completely off the radar as far as building control were concerned. They didn't even know fucking building work was happening. Some of them they would have been involved with because it was major building work. One of the builders I worked with, he's decided because he's old now, he's going to just, drop bathrooms and drop extensions and just outfit kitchens. And building control are going to be none the fucking wiser. So
No.
on
next
my
time
first
I'm thinking,
NIC, my first NIC assessment, right, when I must have been about my mid-20s, if that. And I did this ring, man. He's a guy I'd doing work for. I'd worked at the university, and it's a good lecturer there. He's like, oh, I need some sockets. So, well, if you let me do it with my inspection, I'll do you a discount. This guy's got to come and have a look. So I put these sockets in his front room and did that, no problem. And then the NRC guy comes around, I showed him what I'd done. He's like, right, pull the washing machine out. I was like, you what? He goes, pull the washing machine out. So I'm like, I don't know what he's doing here. Pull the washing machine out. There's a whole load of cables that weren't clipped. He went, do you think that's acceptable? I was like, that's not part of my job. He goes, did you not check around? I was like, I'm not pulling the washing machine out. Because if that pipe bursts, I'd be liable for it, wouldn't I? Like, you're going to be liable for that one.
yeah, or if you scratch the floor or something.
And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not liable. I says, you just told me to take it out. So if that pipe bursts, I'm going to start dismantling people's houses
No.
to find problems. I will have a look around. But I was like, and I just thought, what is this dickhead on? Like, I didn't think there was any need for him to do that, but he's clearly trying to be a clever bastard, and I never went with him again.
That's the
That was
kind of
one
thing,
year.
though, isn't it? That's the kind of thing. It's like they're going out of their way to find some stupid fucking minor point that you're like, well, what the fuck? That's got nothing to do with anything.
If they're inspecting your work, I dare say, if I've done a periodic inspection or whatever, then great, do that. But if you're inspecting the ring main fit the circuit I've added, you can't start telling me to take apart the rest of the house
No.
because that's
Certainly
the
not
customer's
fucking about in
for that.
kitchens.
But yeah,
Too
they
much can go
made me
wrong.
drag the wash machine out. I was like, if this pipe bursts, so yeah, and after that, I never bothered with him again. I just thought there's a bunch of twats, to be honest.
See, my assessor was saying we were talking about a lighting circuit with no CPC. And if a theoretical board upgrade should one happen, and he was pointing out that quite rightly, that the wiring regs does state, of course, that everything needs to be up to date, tested, and okay before you do any modifications. So he was saying you can't do a board change unless you rewire the lighting with a CPC, and I'm saying
That's not true.
well,
Fuck that.
assuming, and I was saying, with plastic accessories on everything, I was saying, well, I don't agree with that because it shouldn't be the case that, and again, this is the perfect world situation, isn't it? In a perfect world, yeah, you would rewire the lighting
Can I ask a
circuit, but
technical question now? Then? Can I put a
I'm not
technical-
going to fucking go to some poor family who can't afford to have their carpets ripped up and their circuit rewired and say, well, you can't have your BS 3036 rewirable fuse box replaced for something with a better safety standard because you can't afford to have your lights rewired.
Technically, then, Dave, right? If I decide to wire out my garage and put some new lights in there, yeah, and I wire the entire thing in plastic conduit with plastic accessories and totally double plastic lights, can I not put an earth conductor in the circuit? Because there's nothing to earth.
No, there is a regulation that says there should be an earth point brought to every.
Right. Oh, so I couldn't do it. In theory, it wouldn't be unsafe, would it?
No, it wouldn't be unsafe because effectively you've got two layers of insulation throughout. You've got the conduit itself and the insulation of the wire.
If I was an RC, I'd just do things like that. I'd do that and I'd put a deviation in. And if you come around and go, there's no earth, I go, yeah, I put a deviation in, mate, and it's all in two core, and just have a big old argument about it. You know what I mean? I'd have to do that now. I'd go, right, I've done these lights in my garage, they're all totally plastic, there's no earth, and I've deviated it. And he'd go, I'll go, what the fuck are you going to say then, motherfucker? You know what I mean? Because, like, what would he say? I'd be like, deviations there. Put a deviation in because I covered the entire thing with jam, mate, just so you know. And he'd be like,
doesn't this go back
that?
to what the fucking E5 used to say is like, if you can justify it with engineering judgment, then they have to shut the fuck up.
Well, there are Earth-free locations, aren't there? Earth-free locations exist.
Well, that's what I was saying to him. I was saying that look, in the real world, sometimes you've just got to use your engineering judgments, and
Because you
you
don't
can't
have to
always
do
tell every
exactly what the regs
customer.
say.
You can't always tell every customer, no, I'm not doing that unless you fork out for this other thing to happen first, because all they're going to do is go, oh, thank you very much, sir, and hang up on you, and phone up the next guy who's probably got the
Yeah,
IC registered, and
but yeah,
get them
because
in. We'll get Sam to do it.
and they'll come around.
Yeah, fucking
But
hell,
I
I'll
ain't
do
even
that.
going to test it. I'm
15
just going
meters
to
of
whip
flexi
that board
ducts.
out.
No backing problem.
John from Folt's put take the lighting circuit, install it on a plug top, and plug it to a double socket by a DB, and flip them as it's not part of the install. You know what? It's a very expensive way of being a dickhead, but I would love to get someone round and just take around my own ass and just do loads of random shit like that. So the inspector would be like, go my lighting's a portable appliance, mate. So fuck you.
So another thing with NASA, they've got this pocket guide app,
Oh, no,
which
this
is
is
very
really good,
good.
apparently, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very good. Even if you're not a member of NIC, you can download and install it. But Libby was talking about this because we're going back to the Extractor fan thing. This here, there's a pocket guide thing about Part F, which says whether something's notifiable or not. So it's got it in black and white as far as NIC are concerned. But for everything, whether it says yes or no for notifiable, depending on the job, everything it says there should be a commissioning notice. Everything's got a yes for that. It requires a commissioning notice. They don't actually tell you what a commissioning notice is.
Minor work
I don't know
certificate.
what is a commissioning notice. Am I supposed to? I think it's supposed to be, and Part F does sort of say that if you're changing or even leaving a ventilation system in place, you should check for its efficacy rather. So that may be part of their commissioning notice thing, but I don't know what that is. Is that what they class as their official paperwork that you submit to building control? Because if so, basically NIC are saying that is relevant for everything. Even if it's not notifiable, you've still got to jump through our hoops.
What I'm gonna do
I
is
hate the
every fan
NIC.
I install now. So what I've got a way out of this. I've come up with it. Yeah. Every time I install a fan now, I'm gonna put the fan on the outside with an outdoor fuse board and feed it directly from the meter box. What they're gonna do then? Sam's done. I've killed Sam. I've killed Sam. So yeah, we feel that. But yeah,
Aaron
outdoor
says the
fuse
commissioning
board.
notice is in Part F, so I haven't got to that bit, obviously.
There you go. Right, so just the thing is, fit your fans outside, so we suck, with an outdoor fuse board, clip the cable straight with your wall from your meter box, laughing, no need to worry about it.
Listen, and on that bombshell, it's the end of the podcast. We're nearly 15 minutes over, and
We've
I'm
done our hour.
freezing.
I'm cold as well. I've a fedora open on the balcony and to go shut
Like,
it.
I'm freezing. My feet are cold. I'm going in. Right,
I'm all right.
Savo, thank you very much for coming on and clarifying some stuff that
Well,
isn't
I don't know
really
if I
clarified.
clarified anything. Get
No,
fucking Libby on. He knows all about it.
he doesn't. There's nearly 200 people listening to this garbage.
What, really? We've got you on, Dave, because I don't know if you know, Dave, before we go, yeah? John from Folders is trying to take your crown as king of this podcast, so we just thought we'd give you a chance to reclaim that, you
They
know
can
what I
have
mean?
it.
Oh, cheers, Dave.
Right.
200
yours.
people, Jesus.
Listen, idiots. Jamie, you're going to have to rip this because didn't press record.
Oh,
And
you fucking dick.
see you later. Electricians
Bye-bye.
Podcast.
I've gone
We're
to do
out.
2 hours of ripping this now, you fucking pleb.
Oh, how do you stop it? Stop.